Hey everybody, Henry here. I post a lot of photos of flowers and things from our yard, so I thought why not I'll do a little video tour of the entire yard and hope you enjoy that. This is starting in the very back corner of the backyard. Actually, I guess the real back corner goes all the way up here because we have this kind of wooded waste area that runs along. It's pretty, but we don't really use it, along the back of the yard up above this retaining wall. This bed here with hydrangeas, we made that. When we moved here, there was ivy coming down, pouring down over the retaining wall, completely kind of filling up and choking this area. Still a bit of ivy. I need to get up there and clean that up. Anyway, so we cut that out actually with my daughter and her boyfriend's help, and cleaned it out and did some planting here. We have these hydrangeas which do really nice, and some azaleas there in the middle. There's and still be down in there. This is the rest of the backyard. That's our back porch on the house. We have some acubas and ferns. Most of this was here. We've kind of planted and cleaned it up. A couple of 3 old rose bushes here that still have blooms on them, so I take a little bit of care of those. A bed along the back here with some hostas. So here's steps that go up to the retaining wall and up over there. So that's how you get up there if you want to. We don't really go up there. This bed here, there was a giant aucuba here that basically came all the way over here almost to the house. So that was, it was hard to believe, about the size of a car. That was hard work getting that out. And then we built this little bed here where these 2 hostas are here. We used to have a Japanese maple. I just moved that to the front yard, which worked really well. I have a Confederate jasmine, which had been in another spot in the yard. Wasn't really working there, so I moved it back here. Hopefully it'll do okay. Yet another hydrangea, pink one this time, some hostas coming around. Here's back of the house. This is a really nice oak leaf hydrangea that had used to be over in the other side of this bed where it didn't really get a lot of sun, and we moved it over here and it's doing a lot better. It's doing great. Some lilies coming up there. This is a pink honeysuckle that it doesn't like it here. May have to find a better place for that. It just never really blooms very much. But it's green. It grows up on a trellis we have, so what the hell. This garage door, little planter. When we moved here, there was like a weed tree. Like a 6-foot tall tree growing out of this planter. So I got rid of that. Now currently there's just some daisies in there. Bird feeders. There's the retaining wall coming up to the side yard with our neighbors. We got a planter we just bought at Costco with some herbs in it. They're doing really well. Got a little bed here that we put in, which I really like. It's kind of simple. It's got some pinks and these purple salvia. I had 1 purple salvia. I split it up this year and got 3 out of it, and they're all doing well. That's nice. Have some black-eyed Susans coming in. These are native sunflowers. I'll show you some giant ones of those in a minute. Side of the garage, basically, a lot of shrubs and things that were in here that I removed. This old azalea in the middle remains. We planted these hydrangeas, which are doing really well here, and we get a couple of different color varieties out of those. Coming out our driveway into the front yard, we have a crepe myrtle here, which isn't quite blooming yet. All of the front of the house we basically did. Right here at the corner there was an enormous holly that was kind of taking over the house. And then in this bed, a lot of old shrubs that had to be dug out. So we put in the hostas. We have some elephant ears kind of in the corners in some places. We got these hostas, azaleas, some daylilies in the back. And these 2 beautiful blue hydrangeas, which I get a lot of compliments on from passers-by. The corner here by the front steps, we've got a lavender, some Asiatic lilies, clematis on the railing, a big old rosemary plant. I just really kind of redid this side this year, and I gathered together some black-eyed Susans, and those are going to come in there nice at the corner. And I split up some of the hostas from the other side and mixed those in here. So we have some more azaleas, elfiniers coming up in the very corner there. And that's about it. But it really kind of cleaned up this bed. This was just kind of a, I don't know, a dry bed with these azaleas. Didn't really do much. In the corner, we've got these dark red canna lilies that have not started blooming yet, but they will. Here's our external breaker box, which is a typical South Carolina feature I was not familiar with till we moved here. This is my HD TV antenna that's made out of 2 old New Jersey license plates and some baling wire and wire. Here's the other side of our yard. This kind of a area, it's kind of no man's land with the neighbor, so we're not really sure what to do here. We've tried to kind of clean it up a little bit. This is actually a mulberry tree, which is nice. It has mulberries in the spring. This is definitely in our yard. It's a big old fir tree, and it had been completely grown up into the wires. So you know what happens is the power company comes and they trim it, and they just hacked it to pieces. I cleaned it up as best I could to kind of, you know, clean up the front. They just left these branches kind of hanging down. And then we put a little bed in here, which is coming along pretty nicely. It's got some hostas, ferns, and I've stuck some of our ubiquitous irises in there, elfiniers, so forth. Now, this is a bed we entirely put in. Started out with the dogwood, and we just dug a little round bed basically where the dogwood went in, obviously a nice big hole to properly get the dogwood in the ground, and then I slowly kind of extended the bed to the left and the right. We've got a knockout rose, kind of a pretty salmon color knockout rose. These Turk's cap lilies are done blooming. We have irises in the back there. So we have 2 groups of the Turk's cap. I cut those back because they're done. And then on the right here we have a nice butterfly bush, buddleia. Those are all blooming well. Here's the Japanese maple that we moved from the backyard. It just loves it here. It's a really pretty tree. We got it at a farmer's market, really cheap, and it was quite small. They grow really slowly, so it hasn't really grown all that much. Maybe it'll grow further now that it's out here. So here's the mailbox bed, which started out as nothing. And if you remember, I had a time lapse of digging the rest of this out. It stopped about right where the 2 knockout rose bushes are, and then the rest of this is an extension coming back to where we have this old post lantern. But this is looking great this time of year. We have all these daylilies. There's 3 different varieties of daylilies that we got at a daylily farm. There's this one, there's this kind of double orange one, and then there's a deep red one, although I don't think any of those are blooming right now. We've got these 2 knockout roses here, which do great. Now we've got some daisies coming up in the front here, a couple different colors. Balloon flowers, more black-eyed Susans. These pansies that are in this bed, I planted way back really during the winter. You know, as soon as I thought I could get them in the ground. They've survived multiple freezes, droughts. They're about done. They're getting kind of scruffy. but they're still blooming, and you know, what the hell, if something looks good, I'm leaving it in the ground. A fern there. We moved one of the knockout roses that had been up by the mailbox back here, and then some of these irises, which are all over the yard, coming from an original, you know, half dozen bulbs or something. I think we got at Costco for a couple bucks. There is another bed on the other side of the driveway here with another dogwood tree that we planted. All of these beds are completely, you know, new. This area was just kind of overgrown with mondo grass. I pulled all of that out. Some of it ended up being used as a border elsewhere in the yard. And then we built this bed with irises. This is Stilby, which just the color on that is amazing. I love that. We got a Japanese painted fern there. Another one of these kind of native ferns. And again, the driveway on the mailbox side, there was a little area, again, overgrown just with mondo grass, a real stinky ass like plastic mailbox post that was leaning over when we bought the house. So that was one of the first things I did, is installed this new mailbox, and of course, you know, I was going to stick a flower bed around it. So we built that first little bed, and everything has kind of expanded from there. This, I guess, is about as far as we're going to go because we have the walkway here, and I think it looks kind of matches up nicely with the walkway. Anyway, that's about it. Oh, yeah. So these enormous plants, the ones on the left there are, I don't know, 12 feet tall maybe. Shorter ones 8 feet tall. These here in front of me are taller than I am. I mean, they're probably 8 feet. These are native sunflowers that we got for free at the Tennessee Garden at the University of Tennessee. Can't remember what it's called. They don't call it the Tennessee Botanical Garden. It's named after something, but it's on the University of Tennessee campus. Great little garden. And you know how they give away plants that they have sometimes. So they had some pots with a couple of little sticks sticking out of the dirt. And we said, you know, it says free. And we were like, well, what are these? And they said, oh, it's these native sunflowers. So we're looking forward to seeing how these are. You get a better view of these. See what they're going to do. This first year, we stuck those little sticks in the ground. And here they are. That's the way plants are. It's kind of amazing. Here is my post lantern, which was a scruffy, kind of broken down, actual gas mantle lantern that didn't work and was broken and dirty. And anyway, I cleaned it up and retrofitted it with solar lights from Home Depot. And here are the solar panels down here in the bed. And it actually works quite well. It's not really bright or anything, but for a post lantern, hey.